Moments after his performance as Lyle Menendez in the mega-hit series Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, now he stars in the horror drama Grotesquerie. Please welcome to the show the very talented Nicholas Alexander Chavez.
So you are so talented that we are freaked out by the level of talent.
What?
Yes.
When you walked in, I almost had to go the other way.
I know.
Freaked me out.
Well, we come from a common background because I started on General Hospital and you guys met on All My Children, right?
Yes, correct.
So that was
how cool was that?
Let me tell you something. When I started on All My Children, I would watch the actual Menendez brothers trial.
Oh, is that right?
Because that was how old I am. But I've got to tell you, you are not in just one big show, two huge shows. So let's go back to your origin story. When did you start acting? How old were you? Give me the whole thing.
I got into it in high school. I was in the speech and debate program at my school, and then the guy who ran that program took over the theater program, and then I did a couple plays, did To Kill a Mockingbird. I played Edna in Hairspray, which was a lot of fun.
Amazing.
Got to throw on the heels.
Right.
Yeah, I got to do a couple fun things, and then met the director of the National Theater Conservatory, who became like my first big mentor, helped me get ready for some college auditions, and then I kind of fell down the rabbit hole from there.
So General Hospital was your first gig?
Correct, yeah, that was like my first professional.
I remember my first, a similar story when I came from a different state and my first job was All My Children. I remember being so nervous my first day.
Oh my God.
How was it for you?
Full body shakes.
Really?
You know when you can't get the air in because you're just so nervous? That was my first day. It's so funny. Like if you go back and if you watch the tape, it's pretty funny. But you settle in pretty fast after
You
that.
have to.
I would say, yeah, because you're working every day, which is it's such great training for an actor.
It's the best training.
It really is.
But you weren't, you weren't there very long because it's your second job when you are cast as Lyle Menendez?
Correct, yeah. So I was
That is wild to me.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. And it was like a paradigm shift because you're going from doing that and it's like, okay, great, now work with Academy Award-winning actor Javier Bardem and Chloe Sevigny and Nathan Lane and Ari Grainer. It's like, it was completely nuts. But
what was that audition process like for Monsters?
So I sent in a self-tape, and then I had a call back with the casting associate, and then Ryan Murphy himself came to the final callback with me and Cooper. Such a gracious, kind human being, sat down with us for 20 or 30 minutes before we did the audition, talked to us about the tone of the show, some of his ideas for world building, and then we went up, we did the thing, and I'll never forget, I got full body chills because he walked us out into the lobby where the rest of his team is, and he goes, all right, I have the boys, let's do this. And I was like full body chills everywhere. Like
I have the boys, let's do this. And you're like, wait, does that mean I'm cast? Like, is that how
I knew it definitely didn't mean that yet. But I was hopeful.
Were you daunted by the idea of playing a real life living person?
Yeah, of course, yeah, especially, you know, and it is different from Dahmer in that way, right? These are still real people who are alive today, and the case is still very much relevant. So you want to approach it with as much sensitivity as you possibly can, but ultimately you're being led by the script.
I gotta tell you, your nuanced performance, we kept staring at each other, and I go, this kid, sorry to call you a kid, but you are our children's ages, so we have to. I go, is unbelievable. You are an unbelievable actor.
That's so kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah. Has it Are you still adjusting to all the attention? Did you when you were doing it, did you know the attention that this show would get?
I think only in like an intellectual way, you know what I mean? Like I had talked to some people and they're like, Nick, this is gonna go live in 190 countries,
right?
Basically with the click of a button. And you hear that and you try to process it in what ways you can, but nothing can really prepare you for the scale of it afterwards.
Right. Was there anything or any person that you worked with during the process that surprised you the most?
That's a good question. I would say I got to, when I worked with Lou Eyrick, who's the costume director of the show, she really helps you feel like the character. You know, in those early days when you're going in, you're having those rehearsals and you're meeting everyone for the first time, it's a big discovery process. And so much of that is like, how does it feel to walk in this character's shoes? And it's a period piece ultimately, right?
Sure.
We're going through the late 80s and the early 90s.
Rough period. Rough period for fashion.
And then you, but they made it so fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it really helps when you look in the mirror and you see that, and it's just like, wow, this just helps my believability so much.
Yeah, I think it starts there.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a break. When we come back, Nicholas will tell us how Charles Manson inspired his latest role in Grotesquerie.
I got to say that your piece is about these murders and the religious aspects of them. They've got people coming to services. Attendance is up all over the county. The Archdiocese is incredibly impressed with you, and I might want you to speak to the congregation.
Oh, I would be happy to. After I solve this case, I can smell this creature. I can sense him just out of sight.
That was a scene from the horror drama Grotesquerie, where once again, you have completely disappeared into a character. I know, I'm sitting here looking at you, and then I'm looking at that guy, and you are unrecognizable.
Well, the hair does the heavy lifting.
Yes, that's good. Father, you play Father Charlie.
Yes, correct.
All right, tell us about your character.
He's a priest in a very, very, very small town where all of these religious themed murders are happening. And he's kind of an interesting guy. I think he's got some really alternative ideas about the direction that the church needs to go in to remain relevant. But ultimately, at least in my view, he's kind of like the comedic relief of the show, because he's also an aspiring Peloton instructor. And he has this idea for a spin cycle class for Christians, basically.
Well, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
A Christian-based spin cycle class. Spinning your way to God.
Souls from sinning while spinning, I guess.
So where do you draw inspiration when you play a character like Father Charlie?
I drew it from a lot of different places, but ultimately Ryan and I had a ton of different conversations in terms of the tone. We talked about cults a lot. We talked about Charles Manson and his relationship with Squeaky Fran, which is kind of what the relationship that we just, from the clip that we just played, kind of tries to emulate that a little bit. And then I listened to a fair amount of Charles Manson's music, which I thought was really interesting.
I'm psychologically worried for you. Like, I want to make sure that you're okay when you come out.
I appreciate your concern. Thank you.
Nick, how about just a nice, fluffy rom-com next? Would you like to do that?
Yeah, that would be fun. I love a good rom-com. My favorite movie actually is a rom-com. It's Arthur with Dudley Moore, Liza Minnelli, and John.
Yeah, that's actually
so
great.
Yeah, that's a cute movie.
That's a great movie. Yeah, you'd be great in that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because I am very much looking forward to you taking over the big screen.
Thank you.
I really see that in your future.
So
not that I'm psychic, but I would like that for you. But you've got to know though, like, if you are in the Ryan Murphy universe, you are, you know, you are golden.
Yeah. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All of the episodes of Grotesquerie available now on Hulu. Come up next, we're going to open up that inbox. Stick around.
Tomorrow on Live, from Moana 2, Ali'i Carvalho.